Hey, Oakwood small groups. Hey, as you gather together tonight, you've just finished up reading the Gospel of Luke, and you're now into the writings of John. And you have already been reading a little bit of John right now. And just as we start to get into that, realize John is that disciple that Jesus loved. He is noted as one of the younger disciples, and also noted for, in his gospel specifically, lifting up Christ as the Son of God. And you will see a lot of things where he's really focusing on that and wants the reader to come to understand and have belief in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. So as you read that, always have that in mind. Each writer had a different look at what they were presenting about Jesus and why it was important. In this story, I just wanted to start out. There's so much in everything that John talks about, but I wanted to look at this story that we know in John chapter 3. We know it's with Nicodemus, and we know that famous verse there in John 3:16, the gospel in a nutshell. But I want you to look tonight at John 3:15, 16, and 17, and see how they come together in what is being talked about. The passage in John 3:15 is a reference to Numbers 21, 4 through 9, and it talks about what Jesus is talking about there. When we look at this passage, I just want us to sit in it a minute, right? We know it, and when we become familiar, that's one of the reasons I wanted to go to it, is when we become familiar, that becomes great. But the downside of that is we're so familiar that sometimes we take it for granted or don't dig as deep and find some of the treasure that's there or has been there for us. And when you put these three verses together, it adds something to that whole story, knowing that Nicodemus, a Pharisee, came to Jesus. Jesus talks to him and then shares this story and talks to him about this. And you know, when we come to this part, this God so loved the world, that it becomes so important because, you know, it was the other day I was watching something and someone was saying that their friend didn't like that when they were shared the gospel, that they felt like God was forcing them to choose heaven. You know, heaven or hell, you get to pick. And so they felt like it was pressed on them that way. And I thought it was an interesting thought. And the person that was talking had said, you know, I don't see it like that. If you look at the scriptures, we find that we're already in that horrible state of wrath, and Jesus is pulling us from that. He's taking us out of that. And so as you look at that tonight, look at that whole story, what it means, and it's a great time to look at the questions, right? What sticks out to me here as I look at these three verses? What sticks out to me? The other part of it is what does that challenge me to know when I hear or see that? What does it reveal about God's character as I look at this? And then what part of this might cause some action within me or activeness to be pursued outside of me to do something? So as you think about it, just look at that, discuss it together, and then just let that settle and hold to that a little bit. Let it go with you in the next day or two as you're continuing to read that wonderful Gospel of John and his love for Christ and his love for us to come to know him in a very personal way. Have a good night.